Hello and welcome back. In the first part, we added the basic elements for our game. Let's now make our game to select a random symbol. In order to achieve this, we'll first need to tell to the game what are all the available symbols. I will go in the main app and add a default constructor that for now only makes a supercall with the default properties. The next step will be to add a symbols fields on the this reference. It will point to an array that contains all of the three available symbols: rock, paper, and scissors. We'll also need a button to start the game. I will go in the main render and in here add this button with the text Run Game. I will also add a run game method that initially will just have a simple console log with the text Start the game. This method will be assigned to the on-click event of the button. After we save, if I open up the console, we'll see that every time we press the button, we have this message appearing in the console. Having this set in place, the next logical step will be to teach our game how to draw a random element at the button click. Basically, we need to generate a random index and get the corresponding element out of this array. First, I will create the random index and give it a name of index. To generate a random number, I will use math.random and will multiply this by the maximum number of symbols, in our case 3. We'll also use math.floor to ensure that we'll not get numbers like 2.5 or 1.3 or anything that is not a whole number. And with this random index constructed, we can just go now and do a console log of this .symbols and of index. Now if we refresh the page, when we press the button, we'll get a random element, after that another one, and so on. Let's get these random symbols into the view now. We'll have to replace this static value and also this one with something like the random element generated in here. This is a perfect example to use the state of the components. First, I will replace this with this .state player red, and also for this one I will write this .state player blue. These two state values will be set in the run game method. Given the fact that we have to deal with state properties, we'll have to use this .sesState and pass it an object. Inside of this object, I will say that the player red equals with this .symbols, and as the index, I will paste this whole formula. We'll reuse exactly the same formula, but this time for the player blue. We'll delete the not edit code, and after we save, we'll see that we get an error. This is because in here we are trying to access something from the state, and we have not yet created that state. This is very easy to fix. I will go inside the constructor and write that this .state equals an empty object. And with this set in place, I will go back into the game window, and now we will see that every time we press the run button, we get a random symbol displayed on our screen. Let's go and take another look at the final version of our game. In here, we have these nice icons for the symbols and not a static text. Coming back to the code, in the public folder, we have this image folder that contains the 3 symbol icons. All of them have a PNG extension. To build this in our project, I will use the background image property for the inline styles. Here, I'll set that the URL will be the image folder plus the corresponding symbol and plus the file extension of PNG. We'll remove the formal code. And now, if we save and run the game, you'll see that we also have these icons on the screen. You may wonder why this second image is rotated 180 degrees. Well, this is because of this CSS property that I've added here, and that defines that for the second item of this type, we should have a CSS scale and CSS flip as a filter.